This week, we continue in the new yard, like pioneers, and march forward together to a brave new frontier. The struggle is real, and if you let it, it will reduce you to tears, being at the mercy of the weather and hoping it clears. And, according to some, as it appears, we're moving back to the old yard and staying for 5 more years. I'm Daniel, and it's Ashville Weekly, episode 197. It's Monday morning, we're in the yard, the new yard to be exact. Before I came in this morning, I was doing a little bit of shopping. The lorry that we have rented for the move, there was damage to the lens, and I bought a new one. The actual LED lamp itself is not damaged, it's just the lens, and I want to fix it before we give it back to the rental company because it's the right thing to do and because it will be less expensive if we do it ourselves. I have a checklist for this generator. The engineer has made some recommendations. I've taken that list and I've split it into 2. Part of it for my townie and part of it for Baratouche, AKA the Stig. But one of the main parts, what I needed to do was get 2 new batteries. The batteries which are on it now are 600 CCA, and we needed 800 CCA or more. Now, these batteries are 850. Which is fantastic. Now, there were ones which were 950, but the size of the tray in there meant that the 950 ones wouldn't fit. When we have more time and we do more work on this generator, I may extend the size of the tray. We're gonna fill that full of scrap, and then you're just gonna go and throw the bin, give them the bin and everything in it. But then you need to drop it in front of those bits. All those grab buckets and all that stuff's gotta go. The heavy lifting's done. It's the weighbridge, but you could get that with a 100-ton crane on a lorry. And all I've got to do is park it there and just throw it over the other side. Then I want to take the archive ones up there, put them into storage in the other yard to make some space, and then it's just the 2 left by the workshop what need to come over here, and when the concrete's poured they need to be stacked here. We're trying to sort bits, keep what we need and what we don't need. Ashville antique stuff I've been holding on to for 5 years, what's just been sitting there collecting dust, we are getting rid of it. We are pouring concrete on the train tracks still. We'll be finished this week or early next week, but then I need 28 days for the concrete to cure to reach around 90% of its strength. I've dropped an email to GB Rail Freight. Back in 2019, they ran the first loco into this yard to test our train track, and I'd like them to do the same again, so history can repeat itself. And then hopefully we will have sign off for our new rail line. This is the second buffer stop of the 2 located on the main line. There are 2 layers of mesh. We're pouring a C50 concrete and using a poker to remove air bubbles and ensure consistency in the mix. This is where the weighbridge is going to be in the new yard. The lads are just building the shutter in, and then we're going to begin to drop mesh in this area. Finally, the previous landlord in the old yard has come to the table after ignoring us for nearly 2 weeks. And get this, talk about a move. Talk about strategic and chess and checkmate. After communicating for months, talking about a possible extension because we're leaving, they have come back and said the notice that we provided is now invalid. So we have to stay for 5 years at a new rate, what they said. So if we provide notice and you communicate with us that we're leaving and we would like an extension because we're going, and we talk about the date to leave, How can you then turn around after acknowledging and not pushing back on our notice previously and now say that our notice was invalid and we have to stay for the 5 years? I get it. It's strategic. It's smart thinking. It's chess, not drafts. Going to speak to my lawyer. While they are a large company with a legal team, my understanding is that will not wash. But maybe they don't want it to wash. Maybe they're just doing it as a spanner to throw it in the works, as a diversion. You know when someone throws you a bone to make you go and look here, and while you're there, they do something here. But we're switched on, because Monday morning, we're in the yard, and we're trying to prepare for the future. I need them along here to give this some strength. On this side, and that side. So 2, put 6 here, then put 2 there. But then, there's some old concrete sleepers there that are no good, yeah? Let's take the old concrete sleepers and let's put them in here as well. Let's line them up and then we'll put the mesh on top of them. Because I've got to find a way to get rid of them and they can't go through the crusher because the steel will destroy the crusher. Up a bit. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. This is like a concrete.
Now, I know some of you are going to say this isn't necessarily the right way of doing it, and I agree. However, this is a temporary slab which is going to be broken out, and these sleepers, we'd have to break them down ourselves and then we'd have to try to remove the steel because the steel can't go through a crusher. Now the concrete will sit about 10 centimeters, 100 mil above this. So it should be fine for the time being. This will not have high traffic. It will just have the weighbridge sat over the top of it. I've been telling you for weeks and weeks and weeks about the court case. Went all the way to the north of Wales where I needed my astronaut outfit. Last week, the judge allowed a Zoom with Matt and the client that owes us money. The Zoom did not go according to plan for them because the judge threw out a lot of what they said and gave them 21 days to provide an asset statement. And the judge warned them that if they were to provide one which was incorrect, they could land in prison. They said they couldn't afford to pay, they couldn't afford this, they couldn't afford that, but the judge had evidence to suggest the contrary. They did come to us earlier today and offer us $3,000 a month to pay back the now 63 grand, which is 60 grand plus costs. We said no, pay half of it now and half of it in 30 days, and to which they said no. They'll see us in court and they will take a walk up the steps. And lastly, today, Monday, they tried to rob us again. Another scam email coming through to the accounts department saying it's from me, asking them to make an overdue payment. But like I said previously to everyone trying to pull a fast one, we know what you're doing. The accounts team have been trained and we're looking out for it. So please just pack it in, because while we're not going to fall for it, it is somewhat time consuming having to go through it and then us logging it and then blocking the emails and so forth. Couple of weeks back, believe it or not, I was moaning. Me, moaning. Can you imagine that? That this Volvo badge was 400 squids. I'm not paying it. I'm not saying it's expensive. I'm saying that I'm not paying it. So I am trying to measure up. I'm gonna go on eBay and see if somebody had one of these already and they've got it as a souvenir, or they scrapped a lorry and they don't need it anymore. So, yes, some rough dimensions. It's my favorite time again when Meds messages me and tells me he's done with a website and it's an A rating, and everybody goes onto the website and they absolutely pull it apart and they write it in the comments, and Meds gets extremely upset about it because he can't help but get emotional. Ashville Heights. Meds has given it an upgrade like the Ashville Aggregates, Ashville Concrete, Ashville Plant Hire, Ashville Construction, and Ashville Holdings website. So take a look when you can, guys, and let me know what you think of the upgrade to the site. It should now fall in line with the rest of the websites within the Ashville group. The final one we've got to do is the Ashville Entertainment website, but that's not life and death, that doesn't matter. We'll get round to that at some point. We've got more important things to focus on at the moment. And that is it for Monday. It's Tuesday, we're in the yard. The weather still isn't helping. We've had a delivery of a toilet, 2 to be exact, men's and women's. We have no drainage to connect to. We haven't had a chance to put in a tank for the waste, so we've rented toilets where the waste is stored in the bottom, and then we're gonna have to suck it out until we have a solution. Delivery. This is the pump for the wheel wash. Remember a couple of weeks back I showed you the previous pump, the mesh had mysteriously vanished and nobody knew what happened to it then. The new one is delivered. It's not much good to us now because the wheel wash isn't in place, but when the wheel wash is there, Bartush will connect this and get it working. We are almost there with the train tracks. We have 3 sections left, which the lads are preparing now, and we should be pouring that concrete tomorrow. If you haven't seen it before, this is the engineer's recommended process we have followed throughout the concreting of the train tracks everywhere, except the switch points, which have moving parts. Membrane at the bottom and 2 layers of mesh tied together. I need all of this, every single bit of this. I need this, please, right here, because this is what's going to be used over there. Okay? I need all of that, every single little bit of it. So you probably have to put that back on and move a couple of blocks. So maybe have break and then do it, but that's what we need to do next, please. All right, yeah? All right, mate. Yeah. Thank you. Putting supports along the side to prepare for this concrete pour. The last thing we need to do is put the mesh in, what we're going to do later. Now we need to build up this area with material, but we can't do it when it's raining. We're using recycled material here. We can't afford to be putting primary material in an area like this, which is going to be temporary. So we get the sweeper over, we suck out all the water, and we're waiting for the recycled material to come back to the yard on a tipper to try to fill this in. Once it's filled in, we're then going to whacker it. And my plan for the scaffold is to use some scaffold I've been holding on to for a long time with plastic boards, very nice black plastic boards, and we have yellow treads. So this is new. I've been storing this. This is Ashville Antiques. I've been storing this for all 3 years. Now we're finally going to use it. So the stairs are going to come up from here. Obviously, they need to avoid the door of the bottom office where the construction and video team sit. And we're going to have a landing what goes all the way across both offices, and we will not have a stairs on the other side. So in order to get to my office, you need to go past the main office, and there'll be a small gate there which says restricted access. I am back in full effect, the project manager that no one asked for. I stood in this place many months ago, and there was a machine operator who was dipping the arm underneath these power cables above us and loading a lorry. Since that time, even though I provided my details, nobody has been in touch. I haven't seen any emails or phone calls, and I've restarted my phone, and I've asked Subset, our IT provider, to check if there are any emails coming from Spain. They haven't tried to contact me, but it looks like they have progressed in my absence. When I last left, it was just a building site, and now it looks like it's taking shape nicely. They are not using Ashville for skips, unfortunately. I've spoken to Tony in transport, and I don't think that we could exchange this unless we had about 6 weeks notice. Once again, like a lot of the houses around here, they have gone for a rendered white finish. That's because it's so hot. Currently, it's about 30 degrees. And just to confirm and give you some context, yes, I left the UK very, very late last night, and I landed in Espanyol. I'm here for a couple of days on business. But of course, the lads in the yard have everything under control, and it's time to pour the slab for the weighbridge. In past weeks, you've seen us pouring concrete in much smaller sections. For the weighbridge slab, we decided to get it done in one large pour. The difficult part about this is knowing that it's temporary and it's all going to be broken out within 18 months. So unlike the train track, which will remain, we're a little less worried about this concrete in. I think the guys have gone on a siesta or run off when they knew I was coming to the site. I have no idea whatsoever why they wouldn't want a site meeting with somebody who hasn't had the plans, hasn't studied them, hasn't had anything to do with the project, and just stands outside and gives invalid opinions that benefit their life in no way whatsoever. Why wouldn't they want me on site, and why wouldn't they want a meeting? The mysteries of life. Back in the yard, one of our excavators is back from hire, and an engineer has popped in to give it a service. We're changing the air, oil and fuel filters, then plugging in to see if any software update is required. And finally, at long last, it is the very last concrete pour on our train line. This is a massive milestone for us. One thing that we were going to try and do yesterday in the yard, but we didn't manage to do, was to bring material round and build up the levels in front of the offices. Also, we are continuing with the electrical work. The tray system around the back of the offices is in place, and we are now running cables to each individual office. We've scheduled for our IT provider Subset to be in for the entire day on Friday, connecting each of the offices for data. Now, previously, we used to have one main switch in the top office where Terry, Tony, Liam, Julia, and the sales team sit. We flipped it round now, and we've done it in a way which means that we won't have to redo it when we finally go to the future plans for the yard. So the main server now sits in what was previously the merchandise container, and there is a small Ethernet switch in each of the offices. From the merchandise container, we connect to all the individual offices, and this means that the office upstairs is no longer going to need that massive unit. We actually got that out of a job a long time ago, a job in Chiswick where we converted a commercial building into 9 flats. Click here to watch that video, because you know that I do not throw anything away, and I try to reuse it all. It's Wednesday morning, I'm not in the yard. You know when you're in a meeting, but you're not really in the meeting, and you're on autopilot because you've got so much else going on. But in the back of my mind, I had what's going on at home, how busy we are versus how much money we're spending. When you're continually pouring concrete in the yard day in and day out, and your staff are in the yard and not out on the road making money, it does put a strain on cash flow. And generally the way to get out of these problems is to sell your way out of it. You just need to keep selling and be as busy for as long as possible. Now that the concrete work is finished on the train track, we have a small amount of concrete to pour for the temporary area where we're going to have our workshop, wheel wash containers and the wheel wash reservoir. But other than that, then we should be able to have all the lorries out on the road working hard. Speaking of the train track, today we are tidying up. So we're breaking out as much of the shuttering as we can, picking up any loose membrane and just getting the area nice and tidy so the contractor can hand it over to us. Being distracted doesn't affect the project manager that no one asked for. The site behind me is going to be 16 units. There are 8 at the top level and 8 at the bottom level. Just had a load of concrete, they are pulling away now. There are 2 cranes working simultaneously, and if you look in the background, there is a huge retaining wall. Luckily for the people around here, everything is sat on a rock base. So whenever they do some cut and fill or they excavate, they keep the material, crush it down, and then use it for a base. Now the units which are going to be built over here, they will all face this way and have a fantastic view of the sea. And some will face the other side and they'll also have a view of the sea. Now each of these units is on a plot of about 3,000 square foot, and each of the units is around 2,700 foot. They all have a garage for 2 cars and swimming pools. Going to be high-end luxury, and all will be powered by solar panels. Now, I was on site a little while ago, but it's extremely hot over there. I had to come over into the shade because the project manager that no one asked for has multiple sites to visit today. At a time when you're up against it and you feel your most emotional, I'm furious! That is the time when you need to control your emotions. I've lost everything! And think before you make decisions. You saw earlier in the week, I said the previous landlord is playing a game. It's just business. I'm not taking it personal. They probably do it to whoever was there, saying that our notice is invalid and we have to stay for 5 years. Now, just to park the issue at the moment and have more breathing space, we did send a response to acknowledge, and we asked for 14 days to consider what we're doing, because I feel that that is an adequate time. And you know, they're a company who are more contractual than practical, and that will be well within the realms of what their legal team is used to. While I tried to think through these other problems like cash flow, if you remember a while back, I told you we have a new invoice finance facility. That facility is kicking in next week. Our previous facility was 85% to draw down on invoices we put into it. Now we're going to be drawing down 90%. So when we switch between the facilities, we will have another 5% immediately, which isn't loads of money compared to our turnover, but it will help us as our limit has been doubled. So that money will come in handy, and it will allow us to juggle and keep operating on a day-to-day basis as we try to move from one yard to the other. Speaking of which, we are continuing to dismantle the bays in the old rail yard. a long time ago, I was stood in this exact position. So now update time. Let's go and have a closer look. Some progress since the last time. Look at that fantastic view. And here we have the swimming pool. Pretty deep swimming pool. This must be the outdoor entertaining area. Somewhere to cook, somewhere to store your drinks, and glass balustrades around. Fully fitted kitchens, minimalist. Feels like man-made stone. No way. An elevator. We have a steel structure to give the illusion of a floating staircase. Sliding doors all along the front. They've not gone for bifolds. Same floor level inside and outside to give a feeling that the area is all one. Bathroom. Ooh, natural stone tiles. These are the tiles that I saw on the lower ground floor area. A bedroom with a fitted wardrobe. Spotlights. Once again, sliding doors, which lead out to a terrace. The other bedroom is over here. So both have their own outdoor space, looking over the swimming pool and outside entertaining area. That's where I was just standing a minute ago. Planters already made from blocks and render for an urban garden. This will be very low maintenance. This is going to be the front door here. Clad natural stone on the outside to give the feeling of a grand entrance. Property next door is also progressing well. I stood up here and showed you all three of them. I guess that this one will be completed first, and then looking at the sequencing of works, this one, and then this one. A number of different contractors on site. There are carpenters, lift installers, people doing bifolds, people plastering, people bricklaying. Take care. Now, you know that I fancy myself as a bit of a geologist. Click here to watch a video on a journey of a rock as it travels around 1,000 miles from one of the biggest quarries in the entire world all the way to HS2. Now, I know about limestone, granite, and basalt. I don't exactly know what this material is, but I do know if I put this through a crusher and broke it down to 50 mil to dust, I could get some certification and put it out as type 1. I have to do a little bit of homework and find out what this material is, but this is the material that's being excavated locally and reused. It's being repurposed to build up levels and also to build walls. It's Friday morning, I'm not in the yard. It's time for a project update. But before I do this, the team in the yard are preparing to create a slab for the Weybridge office. The shuttering is created already, and the duct you can see running underneath and pointing upwards is to house the power and data for the Weybridge office. The slab is a lot bigger than the footprint for the office, but we wanted to make sure we had enough space for stairs and landing for access. The slab will be under minimal stress, so one layer of mesh will be sufficient. We can't get close enough to the area to discharge directly with the lorry, and the line pump is out working. So we're using a section of shuttering originally made for the pause on the train track as an extension chute. Previously, I entered the site for an entrance right here, but trying to trick me. They are very cunning. They have removed it and built a concrete block wall. However, a concrete block wall does not stand in the way of a project manager that nobody asked for. Not a lot has changed with the swimming pool. Since I left, it looks like they have been concentrating more on the shell and core works. Having a look at the structure along the front and these steel posts, I hope that this is going to be sliding or bifold doors which open out, and it'd fill the living areas here with lots of natural light. I love doing this. This is like a forensic investigation. It's like a CIS construction. What you can see with the first fix of plumbing and electric, you can kind of work out what each room is going to be. For me, this is a telltale sign that planning had input into this, or someone with some serious OCD. If you have a look at the size of the window openings here, from the outside, all of the windows look the same size across the side of the house. But if you look down, you'll see internally, these openings used to be bigger, and now they've been built up with concrete blocks, so they all match. And some internal walls have been built up. Now the floors have currently been kept. These are the old tiles. This is the historic heritage of this property. The ceiling level has stayed in. And we have the shape of some rooms. This looks to be a bedroom, and this must be an ensuite. Must be another bedroom, reasonable size, and this must be another ensuite. Previously over the side here, we saw built up hardcore. Ooh, that's a change, there we go. There were different levels here, but these have all been excavated, flattened and compacted. Here you can see the beginnings of a retaining wall. So there would have been some foundations which have been drilled and the rebar fitted. Then the concrete blocks were fitted on top of that. Concrete will be poured through those gaps, which with the rebar will keep it all together and make it nice and strong. Down the stairs we go. Ooh. More rooms have taken shape. I'm not used to seeing internal walls built up with this form of engineering brick. This must be something specific to the European markets. Back on the ground floor, previously when we were in this area, we saw multiple levels of tiles build-ups over the years. Now these have been removed. However, they have not cleaned the floor as of yet. I'm not sure if they're going to build on top of this level or if they're going to try to take it all down. Now this block and beam ceiling or floor, depending on what level you're on, is fantastic to build on top of. Block and beam floors are a suspended structural floor solution made up of a series of parallel beams which are normally precast reinforced concrete. Now these beams are supported by perimeter or load-bearing walls. In between these beams are blocks which are generally concrete. Block and beam floors are durable, quick to install, can be walked on immediately, and have good noise reducing and fire resisting properties. A steel structure with block and beam and solid internal walls, for me, lends itself to put another level on top of this property. But at the moment, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Now the project manager, which no one asked for, cannot comment on whether this build is going fast or slow, because there are a number of factors, much like the plans and everything about the build, which he is not privileged to have the information on. This could be a developer who has multiple builds going simultaneously, who could be preparing this property for a specific type of year, which is busy in this area. That's when they could be looking to sell. Or this could be an expat, someone returning to this country, or someone from another country who's building this house and they're building it on a budget. And every time they make a little bit, they apply it to the build and they'll finish the home whenever the home is finished, because it's more of a lifestyle choice than an investment choice. Another project update. The Central London penthouse. We've been working for months on pricing and I believe we are there or thereabouts. You saw us investigating the build-up of the floor because we need it to be flush with the lift. My friend Johnny from Scotland was discussing kitchen layouts with the client, and I believe we now have all the information in. Floor plans are finalized and we are going to submit our cost to the client at some point next week after I've managed to sit down with David and go over it. Hopefully we get the thumbs up, because we already have planning and the client seems keen. Finally, we will have access to the offices. Previously, we used timber boards for scaffolding and had to screw down checker plate to ensure it didn't get slippery. Hopefully, with the new plastic boards, this won't happen. We have tried to make it as safe and user-friendly as possible with no cross supports at head height, a triple handrail, a high balustrade, foam on all tubes in walkways, protective caps on the end of tubes, and protective nipples on all protruding bolt ends. It's Saturday morning. I'm not in the yard. I'm still in Espanyol. And tomorrow is the European Championship final, England versus Spain. By the time this is out, you guys know who are the European champions. But I've got a bit of a dilemma. I've never seen England win a major tournament in my lifetime. I want them to win, but I know if they do win tomorrow, there are some usual suspects in the Ashville yard who either won't be in or won't be in on time. And Monday is a big day. I've got a very early flight and I'll be in the yard from around 9 a.m. But there's some key members of staff who've already preempted that they may be celebrating. Now, I want them to enjoy and I want England to win. But we also have some very important work to do. I just need to try and manage this situation. But then there's another problem here. There's some people, not mention any names, who don't want England to win, and they will celebrate if England lose. And then they won't be in. I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. So either way, there are going to be some key people who aren't in the yard on Monday morning. A new project. This one is not an update. Got a bobcat here. Once again, we have a lot of stone, which has been excavated. You can see what it looks like when it's broken down to dust. Concrete blocks ready to build. And they are supporting the structure with acros and timber. Not sure how far into there the project manager that no one asked for is going to go. Walk the tightrope. We have a little site office. This reminds me of my first desk, back when we used to work on Woodbourne Avenue in Streatham Common, where I used a door with some 2x4 to make my very first desk. Love that. Forward we march. We have a basement level. Block and beam structure and extremely high ceilings in the lower ground floor level. I believe this is going to be glass to let natural light into this area. And this may well be a garage as we look at the sloped entrance from the main road. Off the garage, we have, oh, there we go. We can see the natural stone. And the footprint of the property has basically been cut out of the mountain stone. We have support pillars in. I can't see any steel structures anywhere. 25 years of experience guaranteed on their quality. I believe those are some sort of support system, what's holding up the structure. If you look above, you can see where the pillars meet the block and beam. So possibly these acros were put in place, and then afterwards, these beams were either fitted or finished. Not sure who's sleeping here. Possibly the security guard, who is currently not present. These are the internal blocks to create walls. Very similar to an engineering brick, but for me, this is more like a tile. There's another 2 small beds behind, so that must be when the lads are having a siesta. The man who sits on this bed has a lifting belt, so that must be when he goes to lift any of these concrete blocks. Bags of SEM 2, Wholesome. That's the parent company of Aggregate Industries, in case you didn't know. From the basement level to the first floor. Let's have a look at the view. The swimming pool is on the, you can call it first floor or the ground floor level, because the level before was subterranean. Reinforced mesh. You can see telltale signs of the reinforcement which went into the foundations. Bags of material, eh? Not purchased from Ashville. This is very fine. This is like a 0 to 4 mil dust. They may be using this to mix concrete. If the swimming pool is here, then this must be the living and kitchen area. And there are steels. This steel was fitted afterwards. The slab would have been cast, they would have drilled the slab, they would have pumped a resin in and then fitted the bolts and then attached them. That probably explains all of the acro supporting the structure. And if we look, okay, so we have a steel, this steel, okay, in the corner as well, and these steels should be running. There they go along the back. And here they go along this section. Yes, to the outside of the building, matched here and here. And if you have a look, there and there. Now the project manager that no one asked for will go to the ends of the earth to provide information and investigate construction sites, which no one has asked him to. However, having a look at this ladder and the level above, I'm gonna give this one a miss, and I'm gonna take some guesstimations from downstairs. I believe this is an upper level where we are going to have the bedrooms and it's going to be finished as a flat roof. If I have a look at the rest of the houses around here, it will be a rendered white finish. That's it for the site visit. My plan is that on Monday morning, everybody will be sat back at their desk. So the construction team are working round the clock to finish the electrics and subset it in, working on the data also. Probably not the best place to stand. I'm revisiting a site and I got it wrong. Can you imagine? I got it wrong with no plans, just guessing. And I got it completely wrong, not even a little bit. But this seems to me like a commercial decision. In the background here, there was a property. I was going around exploring and I thought they were going to build a new house or commercial premises. It turns out they flattened the entire thing and they've made a car park where you can pay by WhatsApp only. Some work's gone in to decorating this retaining wall, once again rendered and painted in a white finish. Some crushed stone on the ground. I assume this is going to be the guardhouse. Aha, red ducting popping through. A red duct over here and over there. Solar powered cameras. So don't think that you're going to park here and not get a ticket, because you will most definitely get a ticket. Another little subterranean office underneath the street. Little bobcat and a machine there in the background. But where there once was a building, it is now gone. I would definitely like to know the numbers in a seaside town of removing a building and creating a car park. Because to be honest, on the streets around here, parking is a real problem. So perhaps as a long-term investment strategy, a car park is a much better option. Woo! I believe there are going to be barriers. Ducting, popping through the slab. If the owners of this site want to reach out to the project manager that no one asked for and let me see the appraisal which helped them make the decision, I would be most happy. All right, and that's it for Saturday. Just watched the England game, an unfortunate result. The boys battled well, lost 2-1. I felt like I was fully behind enemy lines there. Everybody who wasn't from England was supporting Spain, no matter what nation they were from. I didn't know it was like that. Yeah, a good game. Started out slow, but then it picked up. Tomorrow morning, an early flight heading back to the yard. Hopefully the Ashville team aren't too upset about it. And if anyone is drowning their sorrows, it is what it is, and we'll regroup whenever they do get in. Unfortunate, it's hard. Haven't been that invested in football for many years. And that's it for Ashville Weekly, episode 197, I hope. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here, subscribe to our channel. Click down here to see an Ashville video you may not have seen before, and click down here for last week's episode, which was number 196.